Hi everybody, Stevie Coyle here, Mighty Fine Guitars, Lafayette, California, with the Friday Noontime webcast. It's a semi-regular feature here on the Facebooks, which then gets bounced over to Instagram and then to the YouTube channel. Let me urge you to head on over there because these are all stacked up. You don't have to go hunting for them. Just go to the Stevie Coyle Music, all one term, channel on YouTube. And lots of reviews. One guy's opinion. And they're all correct. Today's guitar, boys and girls, is a Santa Cruz, hooray, and it's a Firefly. It's a little one, and it's just about pristine, and it's gorgeous, and it plays great. It just came, there I was, as they say, chipping away at the pile of email that is my life, and the mailman, the jolly mailman came in whistling and said, I've got something for you. It's a box. It was a biggish box, but not as big as I'm accustomed to seeing when guitars get delivered here. It was for this little beast, the Santa Cruz Firefly. Oh, and give me 2 seconds. I got to get you the stats here. Hang on. Back in a flash. Here we go. Dry your tears. I have the stats. This one is from 2020, and the most notable features, I guess I'll start off with what it's made of. It's redwood on the top, lovely redwood, and figured walnut on the back and sides. So this has an overtone stack unlike anything else you've got in your stable, for sure. Let me pop on here. Hello, pardon me. I'll be right with you. Seeing if things are good. Do we have sights and sounds, everybody? Are you getting audio and everything? That'd be great if you were. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Well, let's see. Says I'm live. Nobody's in the room yet. Come on in. Just fresh out of the box. What a friendly little thing. This makes me want to sit on a couch and play guitar. I'm only slightly concerned that I'm not seeing anybody in the room. I'm not taking offense or anything. Don't feel bad. Just want to make sure that the signal is actually going out. What a joy. It's not Martin-y, it's not Gibson-y. It's doing its own thing. There's somebody. Hi there, whoever came in there. Tell me, whoever it is, enter and sign in, please, if you would. And let me know if you're getting good audio. The video only gets so good from this part of the picture on up. But down here, check this out. Oh, looks like a good picture. Very good. Real easy play. Now there's redwood and there's redwood. There's lawn furniture and there's decking. And then there's the sweet solid redwood that makes sounds like this. You know, I had the occasion to record with a guitar for my album 10 and 1, thank you for asking, which is now several years old. I recorded most of that guitar on a Coyle-backed redwood-topped guitar, and it was fantastic. Hi, Larry Pattis. Hi, Espo. How are you guys? How's the audio? Are you hearing everything okay? Boy, talk about an earworm. Everything is in real close. What is the scale on this thing? The whole thing, I'm not a huge guy. I'm 6'3" or something, but I'm not immense. This is a small guitar. It's the scale on this, which is to say the distance between the nut and the saddle. I think it's 24 inches. I win. It is. It's 24 inches, which is very short, which means the effective, what that means effectively is that the strings are easy to push down. That's what it boils down to. And of course, it means that everything is kind of in this way. You don't have to extend your arm way out there. I was having a conversation with a couple of people this week. Somehow came up that people said, well, I gave up. I have all sorts of folks coming in to get lessons on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And the story I get more often than not, sadly, is, oh, I wanted to play guitar when I was in grammar school, when I was in high school, when I was in college. But I couldn't play the bar F chord. So I figured I wasn't cut out to play guitar, which is just so sad. When piano teachers write guitar books, as they did back in them days, they started you off on the key of C, which makes perfect sense on piano because there's no black keys. You don't have to worry about it. Just play the white keys and you'll sound good and get interested in music. If you start off in the key of C, chances are the other two chords are C is 1, F is 4, and G is 5. 1, 4, and 5. The second chord you bump into is the aptly named F chord. Ridiculous. So discouraging. So many people figured, I'm gonna give it another try, see if I can play that bar F. You know what, kids? Some of us never play the bar F. Never. I don't play. I steer around the bar F, with that. Because first of all, on a bigger guitar, and certainly not on this one. This one would be a great one to learn your bar F on if you feel you must, but you don't need to play it. On a full-size guitar, that means it's way out there, which means your left hand loses all kinds of mechanical advantage because it's extended so far away from your body. And playing a bar chord means you're diving for it. It means you haven't learned yet how to maximize the pressure on the left hand to get just what you need and not much more. And if you start off on a wretched guitar, like so many of us did, you've got strings that are this high off the fingerboard, and that's no fun at all. Hey there. Hey there, John Heron. Well, that was my version of Would You Like to Swing on a Star via Pat Donahue, who I just remember from his rendition of it that it starts off with the Deep River Blues chord. And of course the original lyrics are, would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams home in a jar, nothing better off than you are, or would you rather be a pig, mule, fish, something? And Pat Donahue gave us, would you like to play the guitar, carry money home in a jar, from a coffee house or a bar, or would you rather get a job? Oh, a job is the thing that, and on and on and on. But isn't that fun? I'm gonna do a little lesson on that, I think, for Peghead Nation, or maybe here online. But just start yourself off on that Deep River Blues E7 chord, to an A, to a D7, same shape, to a G, and an E, to an A, D, and G. And things get a little more complicated from there. But back to the guitar, already in progress. This, for those who are just tuning in, this is the Santa Cruz Firefly. It's from 2000. It's got a redwood top and figured walnut back and sides. It's just gorgeous, and it's pristine. It's just in fabulous shape. Low mileage, kids. Look at that. Let's see if I can get you a good angle. I think it's kind of glary that way. Tip it around this way, Coyle. Yeah, that's a little better. There you go. Oh, well. It's very sweet. Yes, indeed. I'll play it a little bit more for you. What a great couch guitar. If I owned this guitar, I'd stop every few minutes and have to do this and say, good heavens, look at that. Redwood can be decking, it can be lawn furniture, it can be any number of things, but when it's really dense, and dense I'd love to, when it's really dense, it can sound great as a top wood. Different overtone stack altogether. It doesn't have the ping, it doesn't have that bright, sharp pinginess of spruce, of the various spruces. As Frank Ford, God rest him, used to say, spruce is spruce. But they all tend to have that kind of pinginess to it, which is, what you want a lot of the time. But for a little friendly, probably finger-style guitar, tons of resonance, too. That's surprising for a guitar this size. Are you hearing that? Etc. What a sweetie. A very different voice. Now, if you've got a whole slew of spruce-topped guitars in your collection, maybe branch out a little bit. This is a very satisfying play. There's nothing here that sort of says, oh, I wish it did this. It supplies little surprises every few seconds, I find. It's 1 11/16 across the nut here, so it's a little crampy for finger stylers if you're not accustomed to it. But with a guitar that sounds like this, my brain will compensate real quickly and say, you just got to play the notes, son. Don't be picky about the fingerboard width. And the thumb over thing, which is part of that F. Oh, let's talk about the F chord just real briefly. That poor old F chord that everybody thought they had to play like this, and then a lot of people still think is, I'll say, somebody will come in for lessons or something. They'll say, oh, I said, what have you been playing? What do you play? What do you like to play? Well, I'm not much of a guitarist. I can't do the bar F. Oh my God. Some of us, like I say, never play the bar F. Next door to me, I probably told you the story 1,000 times, and so make it 1,001, and you'll win the prize, the 1,001 prize. The kids who rehearsed next door to me because they played at Disneyland, this was Southern California, excuse me, when I was a little kid, really hot bluegrass and old-time band that featured David Lindley was in the band. He was just Davey. He was one of the kids that rehearsed next door and kept us awake at night when we were trying to get to sleep on hot summer smoggy nights in our bucolic Arcadia, California, the jewel of the smog belt, as my dad used to call it. So we were kept awake by this stuff, and it got in there, and we had to learn how to do string band music. My brother Jamie and I, our mom was a fine string player herself, playing mandolin and ukulele. So we went next door when we got our little books, our instruction books, that I think that was Go Tell Aunt Rhody or something awful like that. Well, not awful, but old, and one of those ones that gets stuck in your brain, you can't get rid of it. It was one of those, which at the time was probably good. I'm still not sure about that. We went next door and said, Davey, because he was always nice to us. He made funny faces. He could do impressions. He did a fantastic Jimmy Stewart. And we even, as little kids, we could tell. We said, Davey, we can play our C chord and our G7 chord, but we can't get that F chord. He said, oh, he looked at our Stella guitars with strings this high off the fingerboard and said, oh, you're not going to be able to play the polite bar F chord on this thing. He said, I wouldn't. He says, you know what? I never do. What I've always done is hook my thumb over the top, which is my point, and I do have one, is that on a narrower width nut guitar, clumsy, like this, 1 11/16 instead of 1 3/4, which my hand is really super accustomed to. A little easier to get that thumb over the top, and some people, for some chords, like a B minor chord, can get their thumb over and actually get that B note on the 5th string, 2nd fret, 5-2, 52 I'd call that note. They can do that. I can't do it dependably. But on an F chord, major chords are just 3 notes. So if you have 3 notes, you've got a major chord. You don't need to have a 6-string extravaganza all the time. I have spoken. You really don't. So if you want to play an F chord, how about playing just F, A, C, 1, 3, 5, Do, Mi, So. That's an F chord. Whether or not you want that note on the top of it, I don't know. I think often a great gambit in playing songs and singing songs is to play the first verse and chorus maybe, the first 2 verses, maybe jump in at the chorus maybe, add in the high string. But for the first 2 verses, just play down to the 2nd string. The ear is always drawn to the highest note it hears. I frequently play a dirty trick on students that are brand new. I'd say, sing this chord. They don't realize that you can't sing a chord yet. They don't realize this yet. But almost all the time, they will sing the highest note they hear, because the ear is drawn that way, just to demonstrate that point. So if you, in singing your song, stay off of the high string for the first little while, whatever it is, the first verse, up through the chorus, whatever it is, and then bring it in, it's an add-in that's really cool. And you're not stuck with what my gran used to call, God bless her, my grandmother from vaudeville used to call the church choir soprano. We had one at our church that sometimes, the person who was just inordinately proud of her very high, very loud voice. And my grandmother would kind of shake her head and, start weeping, tears, laughing so hard at this church choir soprano. Well, I think the analogy can be that in your playing chords, if you always have your soprano voice in your 6-person choir kicked in, we're only going to hear that note as the chord move from chord to chord. Maybe more interesting to hear the highest note be not the mezzo-soprano, not the coloratura, maybe just the mezzo-soprano here on the 2nd string. Maybe that's more interesting than and maybe not. Your mileage may vary, I realize. This is not, this is just the way I do it, but it's right. And I find it very useful to hook my thumb across the top to get that F chord, whatever it is. It may be just 3 notes. Could be the top 3 notes and the thumb. Could be strings 6, 4, 3, and 2. Could be 6, 5, 4, 3. And you know who never plays a root at the bottom of his F chord? I don't think. Ray Bonneville, if you're out there, don't I remember correctly that you always play an open A string at the bottom of your F chords? And you sound fantastic. And you owe me $20. I just want to remind you from 19 whatever. Probably gone up now. Do feel free to share this diatribe. Hit that little share button. Send this off to folks you think might be interested in hearing the guitar, if not the person. It's a sweetie, and it just came in the door. I don't even know what price tag we're going to put on it. 6-ish, I'm guessing, just because it's essentially a brand new Santa Cruz. But I don't know. Got to talk it over with the owner. And see, that's the thing. I don't own any of these guitars. These are all consignment guitars that belong to other people that walk in and interrupt me while I'm trying to do my goddamn email, and bring me these fabulous guitars. The typical story being, I'm not playing this for XYZ reason. There are lots of them. Somebody should be. I'm blowing my karma, man. Help me out. Let's sell this thing. So we do. We put it up on the wall, and I do these little videos, and we see if we can get them into the arms of people that will love them. What a sweetie. Let me give you the look again. Anything else I need to tell you about this? Tuners are mini Gotos 510s, which are fabulous. Scale length is 24 inches. The width of the nut is 1 11/16. The bracing, scallop bracing, figured walnut, back and sides. The top is redwood. It's a sweetie. Comes in that beautiful custom Santa Cruz case. And it's here at Mighty Fine Guitars, 85 Lafayette Circle in Lafayette, California. Come and get it, or at least come in and play it. I'm going to ask, with more and more guitars around here, I'm going to be asking that folks be real careful. This one does not have a pick guard. Some of these do not have pick guards on them. So I'll ask you to be very sparing with the flat pick if you decide you want to do that. But to my mind, actually, for most guitars, end up in my mind being fingerstyle guitars, because that's kind of what I like to do. But it's a fabulously beautiful thing, and it's just Nat's ass perfect, you know, in every way. It's typical coming out of Richard Hoover's Santa Cruz Guitar Company shop, SCGC. A 2020 Firefly. Yeah, come and get it. Get this out of here before... Folks, I'm in harm's way here. I play all these guitars all day. Lucky for me, I have the guitar at home that is my guitar. So I'm occasionally somewhat tempted. This is an enormously tempting guitar. Well, I'm going to keep playing it. You don't have to keep listening. And I'll send you on your way. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is the Friday Noontime Webcast. Happens most Fridays and mostly at noon and Pacific time. Look for these here on Facebook. Then I bounce them over to Instagram, but the place you can nearly always find these reviews and commentaries is on the Stevie Coyle Music YouTube channel. And I'll pop that over there as soon as I can this afternoon. And you'll get the same information. You can kind of go back and review things. You can skip the commentary and go right to the music if you want, which is a big feature of YouTube. And we're looking at these things after the fact instead of live. All right, Larry. Hey, Jay Howlett. Terry Brigman. Go Cowboys. Very good. John Heron. Jim Esposito. Very good. And do, like I say, feel free to pass this along, send this along with the share button to your friends and fams. And I'll see you next week with God knows what walks in the door. We'll see you. Down the road, everybody.